Now I'm going to do something that you should never do as an instructor, and that is never you're teaching a class, never hand out handouts in the middle of your lecture. The reason is everybody will read that and stop listening to you. Well, in this one, I'm going to give this to you because I want you to follow along with me as we go through what we're going to cover this evening on emergency medical. This is taken directly from the medical unit portion of our STAKES emergency preparedness plan that I created 18 months ago. I think it was January of 07 I put it together. And as coming to this class, I was trying to think about what I could teach in 40 minutes that's going to be of some value that can help you on emergency preparedness and emergency first aid. And I thought that this would probably be one of the best brief explanations I could give for emergency first aid. First of all, one of the things we have to realize in emergency first aid is, and I talked about before, that nobody's coming to help you. You're on your own to take care of yourself or others. And so this presupposes that EMTs are not coming. The reason why I say that is because most major traumas, if there wasn't an emergency, you have a tragic stapling accident and you have, cut yourself, you hold your finger until the EMTs get there, or one of your friends is hurt, or in a car accident. You just kind of maintain the person's existence until the EMTs get there. There's no need for the rest of any of this. But if they're not coming, then we need to take care of ourselves and others. One of the first things we have to do is sort out the wounded. And that sorting out is called triage. It's a French word which means to sort. And that's literally what you're going to do, is sort the people whom you come in contact with. You sort them into groups, and it kind of might seem a little cold and calculating to you, but we sort them because we want to provide the greatest amount of good to the greatest amount of people. In our interrelationships with everybody else, one of the things we do is we teach and learn about CPR, providing CPR for somebody. In an emergency or disaster, we don't perform CPR on people. And the reason is CPR is only provide a person a window of opportunity to survive until they get advanced life support. If advanced life support is not coming, you can spend all of your time on somebody who is ostensibly dead when other people are around who are maybe living that you can help as well. So we try not to spend any time on the dead, we try to spend the time on the living. I know that kind of seems cold and calculating, but it's one of the best ways to use limited resources. So during triage, you basically have three kinds of people. You want to evaluate if they have an open airway. You might have heard of CPR classes or things you took with the ABCs, airway, breathing, and circulation. We want to see if the person has an open airway. If they have an open airway, we want to see if they're breathing. If they're not breathing, there's an old adage, if you're not breathing, and you don't, there are two things go together, by the way, breathing and your heartbeat. That's why they call it CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. If you're not breathing, you have no heartbeat. You have no heartbeat, you're not breathing. There's a term for that. The term is dead. So if you open their airway, they're not breathing, they have no heartbeat, therefore they're dead. We move on to other people that we can help. We're talking about opening their airways, excessive bleeding, shock, and spinal injuries we want to take care of as much as we can. So we need to sort those people out in the best way we can. We want to sort them into people who need our immediate help, those who we can and should help very first. Okay? Then we sort those out into others immediate. They need our help first, delayed, or dead. And so then we can separate those people out and then give our resources the best way that we can. There is basically a 6-step procedure that we can follow that will help us through the situation of how to get through this obviously traumatic experience. The first thing we want the emergency first aid responder to do is to take a size up of the situation. We want them to stop, we want to think, we want to see what the thing is and kind of get their head about them. Think about a fire department. When they roll up on a fire, the firemen don't jump off the truck and go running in. The first thing they do is stand back and kind of take a situational awareness. And then we want to conduct a voice triage. It's simply by saying, everybody who can hear the sound of my voice and they can walk to me, come to me. Everybody who can stand up and walk to you is already on the delayed. The only people left are the people who need immediate or the dead. So anybody who can stand, like what they call the walking wounded, if they are the walking wounded, they don't need help, most of them. They don't need help immediately. And so just by doing that voice triage, we can separate a lot of the wheat from the chaff, as so to speak. Then we need to conduct a little sweep of the area and do a systematic sweep of the area that is involved. Your house, your neighbor's house, something like that. You know, we have a big earthquake, you're fine, but you notice your neighbor's house chimney is calmed down. You need to go in, be able to, you know, stand outside. You know, Helen, can you hear me? Bob, Ted, whoever your neighbors might be. I don't know if you have a, you know, Bob, Ted, and Helen as your neighbors. I'm pretty shocked. But anyway, you can have them come to you. If nobody comes into you, then you need to make sure you can sweep that area safely and get everybody else out in a systematic fashion. Then you need to give some kind of tag to each victim, either immediate, delayed, or dead. In a lot of cases, having lipstick and just writing right on the person's forehead. A letter. I for immediate help, D for delayed, or muerte on their forehead if they're dead. And then you need, after that, then you need to go back and treat the immediate people first. That's those people get your first, your resources first. And then, if at all possible, you want to document all that you've done and try and make some order out of the chaos. So how do you size up a situation? Step number one, you want to stop, look, and listen. You want to take and gather as much information as you possibly can. One of the things that we want people to do is when they're in an emergency situation, we want them to be the first responders, not the second victim. So it would be terrible to go rushing into a situation where you made things worse by you being there. You know, everybody else was okay and then you got smushed. That would be terrible. And so we want you to take a second to figure out, stop, take a deep breath. We don't want that big red S on your chest go running into a burning building. That would be a bad idea. We want you to think about what you're going to do and then put your plan into action. One of the greatest problems in an emergency situation is that people we want you to put an action plan into effect. The paralysis of analysis has probably done more damage over the years. People go, well, should I don't know. Well, I don't, you know, well, we want you to come up with a plan knowing that no plan is perfect, and her plan is not her plan, is not my plan, and then go and implement your plan. No plan is perfect. You do the very best you can. Second, we want you to do a voice triage. Simply walking into a room or an area and asking everybody who can to come to the sound of your voice. That separates a lot of people right there. Everybody who can stand and walk out, you just tell them, stand and walk outside. I'm hurt. Yeah, I know. Put your hand over your head and walk outside. Then the people who are left are the people who need probably will need your help the most. It's really important to keep those people who are ambulatory, to keep them in one area. Because what are they going to want to do? Wander off. It's going to take a lot of your effort and energy to go get them, to come bring them back to help them. So, especially if you have other people to help you, great. Especially if you have somebody who is walking wounded but is not terribly wounded, you can help them, have them help them by saying, everybody I have come out here, you know, keep them by you. I'll be right back to help you. And you can also have them give you the information of like, well, who else was in the house? Oh, my Bob and Helen and, you know, my kitty. Great, we're going after Bob and Helen. Kitty's on his own.